Time for some clinical peanuts.
So I think we'll go ahead, Dr. Uday.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir.
Okay, so today is a very interesting session, and it's one of the most hot topic. It's about PGI and how to go about it. So we have a very esteemed guest today, Dr. Uday Tekchandani, who did his MBBS from KEM and did his post graduation in opthal from PGI Chandigarh, which was followed by MCH in VR from PGI Chandigarh. He's currently the director of Vision 2020 Complete Eye Care Bandra, and he's also a consultant ophthalmologist in Holy Family Bandra. And Dr. Uday will be telling us all about this MCH VR program and how to go about its preparation. So, Dr. Uday, please take us forward.
Thank you so much, sir. I will just try to share my slides. Just give me 1 second. Made a very basic PPT. We will, at the end of it, I will be happy to take questions, answer those that I have answers to, some which I don't have answers to. I will definitely get back to you all on this. Um, so is my PPT visible? Um,
Yeah, we can see that.
all right. So hi everyone. Good evening. So as Sir has very graciously introduced me, I am an ophthalmologist, retinal surgeon based in Mumbai. Medical director of Vision 2020 Complete Eye Care in Bandra West, and also consultant at Holy Family Hospital in Bandra. Typical cliched slide that I actually have no financial interest in this. In fact, my financial interests are for you guys, and I'll be coming to that in the future. So coming to a brief layout as to how I'm going to be going through this entire little webinar. First, I'll explain to you a little bit about how the program goes, how the program is structured, why the MCH is a good program, why MCH over fellowships for those of you who are keen on finding out, what is the entrance pattern like, what are the kind of questions that come, etc. And just a rough preparation guide as to what would be a good preparation pattern, right? So coming to the program, this is a fairly new program. Okay, the first batch of entrants was actually in 2018, so it's about a 6-7-year-old program. Our first MCH had passed out in 2021. Okay, and subsequent to that, as as the program started getting older, as batches kept getting in, it kept evolving. Okay, it's a 3-year program like any other DM or MCH in the country. Okay, it's post MS or post DNB. Anyone and everyone post MS or DNB can apply. You don't need prior senior residency experience. The reason for sharing this is because PGI also runs a 1-year fellowship in uveitis and a 1-year fellowship in glaucoma. But to get into these two programs, you need 2 years of senior residency post your MS or DNB to be eligible for these programs. At the end of 2 years, which is your 4th post, there is a thesis which is to be submitted as in case of your MS or your DNB. The exit exam is at the end of the 5th post. So there are 3 theory papers, 1 practical exam, and in your last post, which is your 6th post, you're practically working like an ad hoc or an adjunct consultant. You're under a faculty, but you have a lot of independence to do as in what you feel. There is a 6-monthly rotation that occurs through different faculty, which is a big advantage. You get to learn different ways of skinning the cat. Everyone has a different way of treating different diseases. I remember hearing a webinar where there was a conversation of treatment modalities for something as simple as pseudophakic macular edema. And one school of thought was to give drops, one said to give anti-VEGF injections, one wanted to give a posterior subtenon, one wanted to give an Ozurdex. Right? So it feels like a KBC question with all 4 right answers. The advantage of our program is being a 6-monthly rotation through different faculty. You actually see patients being managed in different ways, and you see outcomes, and then you see what works best for you. There is an exposure in all types of procedures. And by all types of procedures, I mean not just lasers and injections, surgeries, a free hand of surgeries is given as you get more and more senior. You also get an exposure of oncology. You get an exposure of pediatric retina. I've been fortunate enough to do stage 4, stage 5 ROP surgeries also, apart from the usual VR surgeries. So your initial 6 months, you start off with basic silicone oil removals, scleral buckling for retinal detachments, vitreous hemorrhage, plain vitreous hemorrhage patients, endophthalmitis, foreign bodies, because endophthalmitis and foreign bodies are usually, poor prognosis patients. The patients are well aware. So these are where, we tend to start. Based on your rotation, if you're rotated in an ROP unit, in the first 6 months itself, you might get the opportunity of giving intravitreal injections to ROP babies and doing lasers as well. Coming to the second year, now this is not hard and fast. All of this depends upon your basic surgical acumen as well, how fast you're able to pick up skills. So I have a junior of mine who I remember within his first month of his MCH program, he showed enough skill that the consultant told him, okay, go in and induce a posterior vitreous detachment, and he was able to do it without any complications. Right? So if you're fairly decent, in the second year you start doing vitrectomy for simple retinal detachments, simple TRDs with focal tractions here and there. You start doing macular surgeries as well, ERM, macular holes, and SFIOs with whatever technique you feel comfortable. Third year, you start moving to more complicated cases. You do GRT related RDs, you do pediatric RDs, coloboma RDs, you can do subretinal bleeds, pediatric vitrectomy, stage 4, stage 5 surgeries. Apart from this, one of the biggest advantages of the program is it's not just Vitreo Retina. A lot of programs across the country means VR is only VR. Okay? You don't see the uveitis part of it. You don't handle the neuro-ophthalmology. And oncology also is often taken care by other specialties. Here in PGI, our head being Dr. Vishali Gupta and the entire department being made by Dr. Amod Gupta, uveitis is something that we learn in parallel with Vitreo Retina. A couple of our consultants are neuro-ophthalmologists as well. So management of neuro-ophthalmology also comes in, and some amount of ocular oncology. Okay. So why the MCH program? Okay. First things first, it is a core specialty training in Vitreo Retina and uveitis. So I remember when I had rejoined the program, I spoke to a lot of people and tried to inquire how much experience is usually needed post an MS for you to be a retina trained person enough for you to be able to handle situations outside independently. And the general answer I got is you need to be there for at least 3 years. So in this program, you're in the program for 3 years, and your training is right from the basic to the advanced cases as well. Your rotation is through different faculty. Like I said, it gives you an opportunity to learn from different mentors, different ways of skinning the cat. Everyone's way of handling a diabetic is very different. Everyone's timing of giving an anti-VEGF pre-op is very different. So you see the results, try some as well, and you figure out what works best for you. It's a very, very high volume surgical training center. You can do easily more than 200 independent surgeries. It can go even more than 300 to 400, all based on your acumen. Okay, it's an NMC approved degree. It's the program is on the NMC website, and it is well approved by the National Medical Council. The department is very pro publications. So those of you who are interested in research, apart from the fact that yes, you will be doing a thesis, you have ample opportunity for publishing data, case reports, case series, original articles. The department pushes, encourages. There's enough fund in the department that can actually even pay for the publication fees as well. And let's face it, being out of MS when you're getting into a fellowship or an MCH, for many people, a stipend is important. Most fellowships pay you somewhere between say 20 to 40,000 rupees a month. Our program, in the first year, it's around between 1 lakh to 1,20,000 rupees, and it increases year on year. There is ample leaves available. In your first year, you get 30 casual leaves. In your second and third year, you get 36 casual leaves. There is an opportunity for presenting at national and international conferences at the institute's expense. So during the period of 3 years, at least one national and one international conference is officially sponsored by PGI. You can reach out to the academic section. As long as you're presenting and representing the institution, they pay for your travel, they pay for your registration, and if you're lucky, they even pay for your accommodation, right? So these are the advantages of the MCH program. So now coming in short to what the entrance pattern is, right? Okay. So first things first, fair warning, it varies year on year. So like I said, it's a fairly new program. It's been there for only say 5 to 6 years now. The program and the pattern has constantly kept varying with the change from MCI to NMC, from the individual AIMS PGI exam to now being under INI. The program has kept changing, right? So we need to keep updating ourselves on the INI or the PGI website. It has all the details required. The exam is held every 6 months. So as there's an entrance exam every 6 months. It happens in May and November. So keep your eyes and ears open for when the forms are out, so you can fill the forms and give the exam. However, every 6 months may or may not include a seat. So the reason I'm saying that is because there are certain years where every 6 months later there's no seat that's come out, and a year later 2 seats come out. It's a roster mechanism which is there inbuilt in PGI, so it's not necessary that every 6 months seats come out. Apart from those who are on merit, there are separate seats which are out for sponsored candidates, and by sponsored I mean people who are working for the government or the army, like a medical officer quota that was there in Maharashtra when I gave my CET. Similarly is a sponsored quota. So we have candidates who come in from Himachal government, Haryana government, or from the army, who've served a particular number of years and are eligible for this particular seat. There are also special category of foreign nationals. So we have individuals who've come in from Nepal. We've had about 2 or 3 candidates who've passed out, and that's a separate set of seats as well. The exam is currently conducted via the INI. So INI, as we know, is AIMS, PGI, and JIPMER. Okay. The current program is only in PGI. No other central institute or institute in India per se has the MCH program, but it's conducted via INI. And INI basically means that the head office lies in AIMS, New Delhi. So the reason I'm saying it's constantly varying is this is how it initially started. When we gave the exams back then, it was 80 questions. 40 was general ophthalmology with single best response, 1 right answer, no negative marking. And 40 questions were Vitreo Retina, which included uveitis, neuro-ophthalmology, and ocular oncology. So these questions actually had 5 options, and there could be more than 1 right answer. So there could be 3 correct options, there could be 4 correct options, and depending upon the number of correct options you've given, minus the number of wrong options you've marked, there was a very complicated algorithm by which the marks were cleared. Interview initially was plus minus for the first 2 batches. There was an interview following which the interview was scrapped. So it was a purely merit-based exam. If you clear the exam, if you're eligible to get in, by eligible I mean very often we had candidates who've come in and given the exam, who've cleared the exam, but they've not completed their residency in adequate time. Their residency is not due. There is some extension left. So they might have not been eligible to join the program, but if your residency is done and you've cleared the exam, by all means, the seat is yours. Just prior to 1 year back, the pattern was completely INI based. So it was 80 questions, 40 were general ophthalmology, and 40 were Vitreo Retina, uveitis, oncology, and neuro-ophthalmology. Okay. The pattern was simple, +1 for every right answer and -1/3 for every wrong answer. And at the end of 80 questions, whatever was your score, you were given a score, and the toppers, the list came out. The first ranker was offered the seat there and then, and there was no interview at that time. Currently, since the past 6 months, there is an interview which has started. All right. So the theory format stays the same. There are 40 questions which are general ophthalmology, 40 which are vitreoretina, uveitis, oncology, neuro-ophthalmology, and there's a 20-mark interview as well. The first interview actually just took place 3 days back. All right. And they were asked very general questions about where they're from, what has been their VR exposure during their residency training, what, where they see themselves, etc. Okay. So like I said, the pattern is constantly changing. We have to keep ourselves updated. Very important, everyone should know that the examiners who are taking the interview are not aware of the theory marks. Right? They just have the merit list. They just know that these are the number of candidates who will become eligible. Usually the number of seats multiplied by 3 are the number of candidates who are called for the interview. And they're not aware about the interview, about the theory marks. The interview is held independently, and there's a neutral, completely blinded person who just tallies the marks and puts the result out there, right? So it's complete transparency. There is, no loopholes involved. So just coming shortly to the preparation pattern, okay, it's very simple. MCQ books, okay, there are a few which you guys should do just to get the hang of doing MCQs. One is the Mass Eye and Ear Infirmary Review Manual of Ophthalmology. Very good, very concise, okay, usually covers most topics. The Review Questions of Ophthalmology by Kenneth Chern and Trattler, as it used to be called, is also a good question bank as it covers most questions. And the Provision series of MCQs by the American Academy of Ophthalmology is also a good list of MCQs, which basically covers both the general and the vitreoretina part. Now, the MCQ books are actually more important for the general part. Okay, for the retina part, you will have to read books, right? So everyone reads different books for their residency. Some read Kansky, some read Yanov, some read the American Academy of Ophthalmology individual volumes, some read Zia Chaudhary, etc. Whatever works for you. Whatever books you're reading for your ophthalmology, please read that. You don't need to make any other changes. But from the retina point of view, the gold standard is Ryan's Retina. If you're able to read all volumes cover to cover, you're good to go. It's unlikely that anything will come beyond Ryan's, maybe a few recent articles here and there. But then again, Ryan's is a little exhaustive. It's very difficult to read. So Dr. Atul Kumar's book on retina, like I said, no financial interest. It's a concise version of Ryan's Retina with a lot of newer advances as well. So most things which are important in Ryan's is covered in Dr. Atul Kumar's book. Usinplat is a Bible for uveitis. So that is also something that you should definitely go through when you are preparing for the exam, right? So that's pretty much it in terms of the program. Like I said, it's a very new program. There's, it's constantly changing. Okay. And for those of you who want to go through this list, you can take screenshots, right? So that's pretty much it from me from the presentation point of view. And I'll be happy to, answer any questions. I'll just be going through the chat box one by one.
Okay, thank you, Uday, for that. I think this has been very concise and comprehensive. So this is the same exam for the AIMS fellowship as well, or the what we call as SR.
No, so senior residency exam is different. The INI CET is different. The two separate exams, both are conducted by AIMS New Delhi. Okay, even though the MCH retina program is only in PGI Chandigarh because it's under INI, it's AIMS who conducts the exam. Okay, so a little cheat out there. Those of you who have colleagues in AIMS New Delhi, they have a particular list of a question bank of questions which keep coming in every year for the senior residency exams. If you can, grab hold of it by hook or by crook, that's a huge advantage for you guys. Okay, considering AIMS is the one that's conducting the exam. All other institutes, PGI, the peripheral AIMS do tend to contribute some questions for the exams, but ultimately it is AIMS which prepares the exam. Right? So the 80 questions is in what time? It's in 2 hours. Should I just quickly go through the chat box?
Yeah, please.
Right. So is this confined to Vitreo Retina only? No. So there are 2 programs in MCH currently. One is a Vitreo Retina program and one is a cornea, cataract and refractive surgery program. Okay. The format of the exam is very similar. 40 marks of general ophthalmology and 40 marks of specialty. Again, like I mentioned, the interview has just restarted, so it's a fresh program. And the general ophthalmology questions in both exams will be the same, but the subspecialty questions will be different. Right? For the glaucoma fellowship and the uvea fellowship, it's PGI which conducts it on its own. So those are the details which you will have to get on the PGI website. That is once a year. Not necessarily every 6 months. They take in one candidate once a year. Number of seats. So the number of seats is actually throughout the period of 3 years. There are 6 candidates in the general category. By general, I mean merit. There's no reservation per se apart from the sponsored and the foreign nationals. So 6 ideally means 1 every 6 months. But the roster program of PGI is such that sometimes there's 1 seat and then there's no seat after 6 months, and then there are 2 seats 6 months later, right? So across the entire period of 3 years, there are 6 candidates of general category plus around 2 or 3 sponsored, 1 or 2 foreign nationals. So the entire strength of the department is about 10 senior residents or fellows, as you would like to consider, right? Someone has raised a question about the LVP fellowship program, which is 3 years versus the MCH and PGI. Which one is better? Now, the LVP program, which is a 3-year program, the actual program is divided into 3 phases. The first 9 months is a comprehensive training where you rotate through all specialties: cornea, retina, glaucoma, oculoplasty. So it's like a crash course of residency. Following that, for 1 year, you are in a secondary center taking care of their work, which is predominantly cataract surgery work. And at the end of 21 months, you come back to your parent institute to do 15 months of core Vitreo Retina training. Right? Whether that is sufficient for you to be an independent vitreoretinal surgeon in the real world is something that I wouldn't know. Okay? But it gives you more comprehensive training because it gives you cataract exposure as well. In the PGI program, there is no separate cataract training that goes in. Yes, if you are a good cataract surgeon, by all means, your cataract with oil removals, you have the freedom to do the combined phaco with oil removals. If you're doing a macular hole with a cataract, you can be given the independence that, okay, you can do the cataract, but it's not the norm. By and large, the cataract surgeon does come in. All right. So the MCH and cornea cataract refractive surgery, like I mentioned, again, it's a 3-year program. Format stays the same. You rotate through different faculty. You get a lot of exposure on cataract, a lot of refractive exposure, PRK, SMILE, LASIK, a lot of independent work. In terms of cornea work, you do more of full thickness grafts. There's more of therapeutic keratoplasties and optical penetrating keratoplasties that come in. So yeah, it's a fair program for those who want it. Other institutes that offer MCH, no other institute in India offers an MCH in Vitreo Retina, an MCH in ophthalmology for that matter. It's only PGI Chandigarh that is currently offering the program.
So, is there any separate SR post also apart from MCH?
Currently, the department all the senior residents who are in the Vitreo Retina department are all MCH candidates.
Oh,
No non-academic senior resident is posted in Vitreo Retina. If you're very lucky, if there is a huge dearth of somebody in the department, or suppose somebody goes on a long leave, say maternity leave or something, then in that case, maybe for a short period, maybe 2-3 months, a general senior resident might be posted into the Vitreo Retina program. But by and large, all the senior residents under all the faculty are all posted with, they're all MCH candidates only.
okay, so this is the only way to get into PGI for super specialty.
Yes.
Okay.
So the good thing is that it's completely merit based. Okay. The I mean, till 1 year back there was no interview. Okay, so if you clear the theory, you're in. Okay, so by and large, most candidates who actually been in the in the program have been people from INS, because of course they're setting the paper, the training is very different, right? But having said that, it's a completely level fair, level playing field. Okay, no one knows what your marks are. In fact, to the best of my knowledge, all the candidates who came in for the interview this time, none of them were from PGI itself. Yes, so there is no scope of any nepotism per se. It's a level playing field. So anyone and everyone should give a fair chance and take a call.
Any reason you feel why the interview was added? Because uh, that is like, because we are seeing for FNB also there is no interview, and even for like if we go for PG there is no interview, right? Or is there an
Yes.
interview?
So I have no idea why they brought in the interview again. Okay. To speculate, uh, I believe that the department would like candidates who are coming into the program to have some amount of practical knowledge of VR, not in terms of surgery, but if you're someone who's at least in your residency program, you have an idea of how to do a PRP laser, of how to give an intravitreal injection, okay, which is something which on most forums people discuss and say that a general ophthalmologist should be able to do a good PRP, a good barrage for a retinal tear and a retinal hole, and at least give intravitreal injections as a comprehensive ophthalmologist. So probably that is what they are trying to gauge in the program, okay, to see that okay, you have some level, something above which they can take you forward. And then of course sky is the limit. I mean, there's no dearth of cases, there's no dearth of patients. You have complete independence to do whichever case you want. As you get senior, you can try out new techniques. We have candidates who have published their own individual techniques of doing surgeries as well. So there's a complete free hand.
Okay. I think if anyone has any further questions with Dr. Uday, because he has answered, I think everything, whatever was asked for.
So for the benefit of everyone, I will just put in my email ID on the chat box. So in case anybody would like to reach out to me, if they have any further questions, I'll be happy to help. Okay. I can, always try to find out more details from those candidates who are currently in or getting in, because as the program is constantly changing, the entrance exam is constantly changing. There can be new updates, and I can always try to get it. Any institute will provide such perks like PGI? I don't know. I mean, I have been in PGI all the way through. I think Anuj sir has been in LVP for some time, and in Agarwal, so sir might be more aware about how things work in TNB institutes. But I've been in PGI since 8 years, so I just know all about it.
I think, yeah, this is one of the most complete program. And I think comparison wise, we can only talk about SR Shivard Ames, maybe that would be a proper fair level comparison because, as you said, other places either maybe the tenure is little less, or if it is a 3-year course, it makes you a cataract surgeon as well. So, and oncology and UVI are things which most of the places, like if you go to LV Prasad, then onco is not taken care by retina
Yes.
people. It is the plastic department which takes care. And if you go to a place like Shankar Netralaya, then UVI is not taken care by retina department. So those are things which are yeah. But all in all, I think as you said, that's why the name that it is a program which is like no other. It is an MCH. It is not a fellowship in retina. And so
You asked
uh,
about pediatric ophthalmology. So pediatric ophthalmology senior residency is, AIMS and PGI, they conduct their own exams for senior residency, which is post MS and post DNB. Again, there is a theory and then there is an interview. Based on the interview, you join the department, and once you join the department, you can pitch that yes, I want to do this specialty. It's not necessary that you do it, that they take you in, but you can definitely try to pitch that I'm more interested in pediatric ophthalmology or oculoplasty. Okay. So if there is a vacancy, definitely they might consider you. But it's not necessary that if you become a senior resident in PGI or a senior resident in AIMS, that you will be pursuing the specialty that you desire. That is only possible if you join into a fellowship program or into the MCH. There's no other way of being sure that you will be in one program, and also there's no other way of being sure that if you join a senior residency in one subspecialty, that you will not be rotated through another specialty.
yeah.
So you can be 1 year of cornea, and if somebody else comes in, they might shift you to plasty, shift you to pediatric ophthalmology. So those rotations do happen in a senior residency program.
Yeah, I think with pediatrics, it won't be for 3 years. It will be yeah, 3 years would be a long period for SRship. Anyone has any other question for Dr. Uday? Okay, I have one question not related to PGI. It's we are seeing that Dr. Uday on social media these days. So could you tell us about the journey and how is it? And
I'm a very, very small fish in the social media forum. I have my own handle called Mumbai Retina Surgeon, and it's just something I'm trying to do. I mean, there are bigger people out there. I think Dr. Vineet Mutta took an excellent webinar last time of how to crack the social media code. I don't know what the code is. I'm just out there doing whatever's coming in, whatever shoots my brain, whatever I feel. Okay, let's do something. I'm a very impulsive person, so I mean it's not getting me anywhere, but yeah, I mean if you
well,
guys like my content, please do
it is good,
follow me.
I feel. And it's good that you've made a start because it again takes time. So
It
we are
takes time.
calling
Everything takes time. Everything is a journey. Does PGI have 3 seats for cornea, one candidate every year? So there is one candidate every year. So in cornea, so across 3 years, there are 3 general candidates. Apart from that, sponsored and foreign nationals are a separate roster. So the cornea exam is once a year, not once every 6 months. Is there any difference that an MCH has versus another person who has fellowship with their peers and their patients? It's very, very subjective. Depends on where you've done your fellowship, what sort of exposure you've had. I know fellowship programs which are not tuned towards ROP. Okay, so they do just VR training. I know fellowship programs where retinal detachment equals vitrectomy. There is no exposure of buckling, and sir would know as much as me that buckling is such an important surgery for a vitreoretinal surgeon. So a lot of these things are there. They're variable from program to program. I know that the MCS program covers everything. Those of you who are applying to fellowships, do speak to your seniors and find out how the program is, what sort of exposure they're getting. and then take a very informed decision whether you'd like to join it or not. How to apply for the exams? You can just visit the INI website, and then you'll be able to get the information. Second best place to do VR after PGI, if we don't get into it. I think Anuj sir, you'll be the right person to answer this.
We'll have a separate seminar on the best places to do.
I'm not saying PGI is the best. Okay, I'm not saying there are programs better. I'm not saying there are programs worse. Every program has its, way of working. It has its module. I've shared the PGI module. It worked for me. It works for many. It might not work for many. Okay, I mean, I'm sure there are people from different parts of India who are unable to adjust to the language barrier in the north, adjust to food in the north. It's very very individual. Okay. LV Prasad has been a good program. Shankar Netralay, Shankara, Dr. Agarwal's, Chitrakoot. I mean, all programs are good. You just have to figure out what works for you. And
If the entrance is there, one should definitely go for it. And then once you get selected, then maybe you can decide whether
yes, absolutely.
because it's also like you don't know, even if you want, you need to keep all your options open.
So being a merit based program, it might also serve as a disadvantage to some, because as we keep discussing residency training, theoretical training across the country, there is some disparity which does tend to come in. And while someone might be able to impress the opposite person on an interview and might be able to express themselves better, they might not be able to express themselves as well in an MCQ exam. Right? So there are enough fellowships which I know of that don't have a theory at all. It's completely interview based for this very reason. So it's not the only place to learn VR from, but yeah, I mean, for those of you who want to do VR, it's a good place to learn because it's holistic, and all the best.
Okay, I think you've answered everything, and if anything is there, definitely you'll get a lot of queries from the group, and definitely I'll be troubling you again. And
Anytime. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity.
no,
It's
it has been really good because most of us, or even I, didn't know much about it, how to go about it, and how was the exam. So, and now you have told us about the interview part, so that clears a lot of confusion. And next time we'll catch up with something maybe related to UVA or retina, and
yes, absolutely. It's good
more.
to see some of my juniors actually joining this webinar, so you guys know who you all are. So hi.
Okay, sure. We'll sign
Thank
off.
you so much, sir.
Okay,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much for the opportunity. I hope I could clarify some doubts and create some as well. Please reach out to me in case you guys need anything. All right. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye bye. Have a good night.